asked us to put on this panel since we don't have E3 this year and because we haven't had cons in a while, thanks to COVID, but we adapt, we learn, and in true voiceover fashion, we do everything from our homes now.
Yes.
So, with that said, to my left, or I don't know how it displays to everyone else, but to my top left, we have Richard Tatum.
Yeah.
To my top right, we have Dave Mitchell.
Dave B. Mitchell. Thank you very much.
Yes, Dave B. Mitchell. The B is very important. Like Andy,
it's on my SAG card, so I got to have it in there. So.
Below me, we have a row of beautiful voiceover women, Voxy ladies, if you will. We have Krizia Bajos.
Hey.
We have Kimberly Woods.
Hey.
Kim.
We have Jennifer Hale.
Hello.
And last but not least, because he got in here last but not least, we have Imari Williams.
What's
He's
up,
a busy working
fam?
man.
Dude, whatever, dude. I'm busy beating my equipment up so it works. Hot damn it. Like, especially when you need it to. Oh,
Exactly.
freaking out.
I'm sure
dude.
that's been a struggle for most of us this whole quarantine.
My neighbors are going to be like, dude, he is going crazy. I normally blame auditions, you know what I'm saying? I make weird noises and like, you know, I'm like, dude, I'm just auditioning. Don't worry. I'm not killing anyone over here. I promise.
Right.
Nor am I dying.
Right.
See, but we could, though. That's the thing. They expect it from us. So the neighbors will be like, he's just auditioning again.
I was just going to say, perfect.
Yeah, it's all
cover.
normalized to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
3 months later, they find the bodies.
Oh my God.
He was not a quiet man, but he did keep to himself.
It was this time that the threat was real.
And like that, we're off.
And this is a good start so people can expect the antics from us a little later
Oh, yeah.
when we do the thing we're known for. But before we get into that, most of you know how I like to start things off. Tell us about some of the things that you're in and tell us about an obscure voiceover job that would make people's heads explode when they find out it's you. We take no responsibility to any attendees if your heads actually do explode. Richard, why don't we start with you?
Zoinks. I never know how to answer this thing. I think what people know me best from is Spyro, where I was Agent 9. Apparently that's coming back, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, baby. Congratulations. Man.
I've done a whole bunch of various characters in Civilization. Sorry, not Civilization. Final Fantasy. I was Rex Goodman in. Oh crap! I have my list in front of me.
You're looking at your IMDb, aren't you, right
do
now?
that
Yep.
too. I do that too.
I
all the time.
absolutely do
We're
that.
not judging.
Fallout 4. A couple of characters in Fallout 4, but Rex Goodman is the one I'm known best for. And oh geez, I was Biggs Darklighter in the Disney Infinity Star Wars expansion.
Yeah, you are.
So those are kind of like the big credits per se. And the thing that will might maybe make people's heads explode when they find out that I'm in it. Mafia 3. I was like, yeah, I'm Teddy Roosevelt in Civilization 6.
Nice. Oh
Nice.
shit, that's awesome.
Yeah,
What does your
place
Teddy
it.
Roosevelt sound like?
more or less like Teddy Roosevelt.
That would be the idea, I guess. Yeah.
There are actual extant recordings of him that I had to match. So let me think.
Those are tricky because they're so public speaky and not like.
Oh, well, exactly. And
Yeah.
so much of what I had to do, I had
Nice.
to put on. An interesting thing about Teddy Roosevelt is that he made his eyes very short, so very, very tense.
I have short, tense eyes. It's why I wear glasses.
And that's why I don't go out in public anymore. I believe
That's
that
why.
mankind shall someday walk upon this earth as gods, kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Wow.
That was
Till
great.
Mother Nature sends us to our rooms to think about what we've done.
That's right.
Speak softly, but carry a big shtick.
I gotta follow that. Come on. Let's see. Done a ton of video games. Stuff that's kind of current. I'm the current voice of Knuckles in the Sonic games.
Nice.
Some voices in Mortal Kombat 11. Got to play Raiden in the new Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge movie, which was an absolute thrill because I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan.
Nice.
Worked in the Fallout series, worked on I was Shocker in Spider-Man PS4. just lots and lots of stuff, games, animation. Probably the stuff that maybe surprised people just because of those is some of the commercial stuff for about 5 years ago or so. I was the voice of Jimmy Dean. I was the voice you heard at all the end of those commercials with the sun. Yeah, so at the end of it was always
hell yeah, dude. For 6 years, you held that on for 6 years, man.
Yeah, it went for a while. It was this thing. You remember this? Fight the morning fade in under 300 calories. Jimmy Dean.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah, that was
baby.
I was
oh
the
my
shine
God.
on guy. So yeah. So that I think surprised people because it's one of the few times you actually hear me speaking as myself. So
dude, you're like, well, you're one of my good friends. I didn't even know that, man. That's crazy. That's awesome.
See, I surprised Imari now.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
You've also done some voice matching too, right, Dave?
Yeah, I have. I honestly think out of all the stuff that I do, I think it's the thing I'm least good at. There's so many of our crew that man, they just kill the voice match and impression thing. I've done some of it. I don't think it's something that I'm super strong at. But yeah, I actually have booked some. One of the cool ones, I guess, was when they did Alien Isolation a few years ago, video game. They did what they called the Nostromo edition, which was DLC. So they actually brought the entire cast of Alien back to essentially do Alien as a game. The only one they didn't get was Ian Holm. I actually got to play Ash I got to be Ian Holm and play Ash and do some of the lines from the movie in the game. That was a real thrill for me as a huge geek. Just to get to do that was amazing. So yeah.
You also got to do that Orson Welles film for Netflix, right?
Yeah, I did actually. I got to go in and do some of the ADR to finish that movie, Other Side of the Wind. Yeah, I mean that was one of those things that like I wouldn't even have put on a bucket list, like work on an Orson Welles movie. So yeah, when we were there, all of us were kind of like, this is kind of crazy that we're doing this. This is awesome. So yeah, that was fun.
Krizia, you're gonna mute yourself and tell us a little bit about what you've done.
Yes. Hi. The two questions. Why do I blank as soon as?
Tell me about
Why does that do?
Everyone. That's why my
Keep
IMDb
your
right
IMDb
here.
open.
Yeah.
Listen, got it. Here we go. Got to do a bunch of fun characters in Telltale, Batman, and The Walking Dead.
Yes.
The Walking Dead, Michonne. League of Legends, Akali, the rework of Akali, League of Runeterra, Silent Shadow Seer,
Nice.
Just Cause 4, Fallout 4, State of Decay 2, Fire Emblem Heroes, Igran and Altina. Those are really fun too. And then on the animation side, I've done the last season of Carmen Sandiego and the upcoming one, but the one that I really love is the Loud House spin-off. It's called The Casa Grandes, if anybody's familiar with it. It's on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
And so I get to play a really fun hairdresser, Cuban. I'm Cuban. And I just modeled her after my mama. And I took a chance. It was so fun because it's one of those, I'm sure everybody has this story where you take a chance and it's not exactly maybe what they were asking for, but you felt something inside of you that said, I don't know, this is how I connect to this character.
Yes.
And I just channeled my mama and I booked it and she's so much fun. So I get to feel like she's with me in the booth when I get
Those are a little special. I call it that VO tingle when you're just like, man, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
love
you get
that.
you
Amari,
get the little-
yes.
it's almost like a spider sense, and you're like, dude, I'm just gonna do it. And then you
Yes.
just feel it and it works
And
out.
Dean, Krizia, Dean's probably said this to you. Dean always says with stuff like that, show them the way.
Yeah.
Show them the
dude,
way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
It's up
that.
to us to show them the way. This
Absolutely.
is what you want. Trust me.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's not, it's okay. Then somebody else, I don't have to change my product, but you know, somebody else will be open to it. But it just so happened that they were open to that. And so yeah, Margarita. And then what was it? The one obscure fact? Oh, going from such a beautiful place. The first thing I thought of, guys, this is a no judgment zone, right?
No judgment at all.
We
None.
will not
Oh,
judge.
I don't know. Ms. Hale,
No.
she did a little grimace.
I'm not judging.
Well, you
Okay.
haven't said it yet, so I might judge you after.
Okay, well, you know what, fair enough. But so when I was first getting started, you know, when you hustle and you're trying to find the work and doing whatever you can, well, something came across my table and I ended up doing audiobooks for Penthouse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
For you, what's wrong with that? That's fair.
Listen, there were things that day or those days that I said that I didn't even know were possible with human bodies.
Or it was like a paid education.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing to get paid for saying things that would get you fired from every other job in the
Or
world?
arrested.
Yeah.
Or both, fired and then arrested.
I was reading,
part of
my
the
eyes
country,
are just
yeah.
like, oh my God, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. But yeah,
Man,
that's something
fabulous.
that is pretty obscure, I would say. And
Oh
yeah,
my God, it's fabulous. God damn it. That I mean, that has everyone beat. That's awesome though. You know?
That's great.
I don't know.
Yeah, Jimmy Dean seems pretty lame compared to that.
I know, like
But he
Almost.
was reading. He was.
Although they both involve sausages, so there's that.
oh,
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, kids, moms, kids. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
don't think we have any
I've
children.
been pent up for a long
Say,
time
Dave,
here.
You're making some assumptions about the
We're
material. there,
voice
Dave.
actors. We're practically children.
That's
anyway.
true, and maybe that's unfair.
Kimberly,
you
how
guys
do
are
you
great.
plan to follow this up with?
I don't know. I don't know if I can.
She once killed a man and left him for dying.
Oh no.
No.
Oh.
So you might have heard of me from It's Pony on Nickelodeon. I play Polly. And then also from Demon Slayer, I voice Naho and Hanaki, and Tisei from Sword Art Online. And I
nice.
see Alan in the chat saying hello. I know he's a big Sword Art Online fan. So hi, Alan. Thanks for joining us. Obscure, weird things you might have heard me in. I don't know how to follow the other one, but
No one does. It's
That's
okay.
okay.
I mean, random things. I guess I'll just mention a weird random one is, doing Walla and ADR for a film. I once had to do the sounds for a woman who was giving birth to a demon baby.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's it. That's right along. I think
Come on,
that's
who
like
hasn't
that-
done that? Please.
Dude.
classic.
That's like right along the lines, man.
You need some
That's
D and
great.
K2 for that, I think.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that's fabulous. That's awesome. You guys have
Awesome.
some good ones too. I'm like thinking like I'm scraping the barrel. I'm like, dude, what have I done? It's embarrassing.
Oh,
Oh, there's plenty.
It's
You gotta
obscure.
follow
I
the
know
bill,
it's so
Imari.
embarrassing, but
Jen, what have you been up to?
Me?
Who?
Jen.
Oh, let's see. That thing I can't talk about, and that one I can't talk about. And
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
one
hate that,
can say,
man.
Dave, I'm pointing that way because that's where you're in my Brady Bunch screen.
Oh.
Here, you're down there.
Here, I'll do the thing.
Yeah, Kronika in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
And, yeah,
He's my boss.
yeah. I'm bossy that way. I'm bossy a lot. I don't know what that means.
Well, technically, I just work for you, so yeah. Well, you made me actually. You actually made me. So
Right. I made you. All kinds of game stuff, all kinds of cartoon stuff. You can find me on IMDb if you have questions. And funny and weird stuff. There's a couple things when you guys are talking about commercials. I was the voice of Gateway Computers for 10 or 12 years, and they used to fly me up to their Christmas party, and I got to go on the plane with the CEO, and who's an
What?
amazing guy.
remember those days when those things used to happen? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was
God,
fun. We had, he invited me to the bar with him and his VPs, who were all these guys he grew up with. And they were or a lot of them. And then they were buddies. And it was a really dark little hole in the wall with a bucket of beers in front of us, in the middle of the table. And they were telling puking stories, a bunch of dudes and me. And I totally won. I won't tell the story right now, but literally at the end, we all went, oh! So I won. But let's see,
Nice.
weird facts. I am my own grandma in Star Wars. I am
Nice.
Bastila Shan and Steel Shan. Probably I've had the amazing fortune. I was on the Stan Lee panel last summer at Comic-Con, and apparently I've done more Marvel projects than anybody out there, which is I'm very proud of that. I'm like, that's so
awesome.
cool. And then the weird thing you might not know is I am the stunt Dory. I am stunt Dory. Whenever Ellen won't do Dory, I do Dory.
Oh wow, that's freaking
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Cool.
that's a great one.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, girl, that's dope.
A boat? I've seen a boat. Yeah,
Cute.
really fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Imari, your turn.
God, now I'm gonna freeze. Shoot.
No
okay.
pressure.
I know, right?
Hopefully the
Well,
computer doesn't freeze.
I know. It's like Like right there. Let's see. Well, you can. I've done. I've been very fortunate to be able to do kind of like if you guys listen to A&E, I do most of the promo for A&E, Live PD, freaking Ghost Hunters, and I've been blessed to currently I've done Broccoli, who's one of my favorite people I've ever voiced on Sword Art Online. He's just they call him Hot Uncle Broccoli on Twitter, and then I've also had the pleasure of being on Carolyn Tuesday as Skip. I'm looking at my IMDb right now. One like major role that I was waiting for 2 years, and I was so nervous because I didn't know if they're gonna air this, or if they're gonna like produce it, or if it's gonna get scrapped. As I play Black Adam on the new Lego DC Shazam Magic and Monsters.
Yeah, you do.
And thanks, Bubba. And I just was like, and I was like, oh my God, please don't replace me with someone, don't replace me with the A-list and everything. But they kept me on, man. And I was like, yes. I play Blade on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, as well as God, what else have I done? I've done World of Warcraft. Big up to Blizzard. I love you. Mwah.
Blizzard.
I play Crack Shot on Fortnite, as well as Cloak Star on Fortnite. Big up to my folks over at Side LA. Kisses, as well as to all my homies over at Fortnite as well. And weird obscure fact, I was actually the voice of Acura for 2 years, which is how I got my start in VO.
It's a good start.
I know, dude. There was like, it was, well, I had done Scratch Track for them, and that's how I got started in the business. I did Scratch Track. And I had done one for Toyota before, and this was actually one of those stories where like I had done like maybe 5 months, and everyone was kind of, that's why, you never drink the Kool-Aid ever. If people tell you, oh, they like this, it sounds great, just like, you just got to ride it. You just got to like ride it until you're in the booth, until you see it air.
Yep. It's not you until it's on TV.
Exactly. And I was in this one campaign, I thought I was going to get it. It was for Toyota. And then I remember like the producers basically was like, we didn't go with you. After 5 months of doing like voiceovers, attempt for them. And then I saw the actual guy walk in, and they asked me, they're like, please be nice to him when he walks in. I was like, what am I going to do? Like put crap in his coffee or something? You know what I'm saying? And like, but after that, I did Scratch for Acura, and that was also a 5-month endeavor. And I didn't think I was going to get it, and they gave it to me. I saw all kinds of famous people audition for it and everything, and I wound up doing it for like 2 years. I still do the radio now. So that was extremely blessing. And I play Boulder in Rescue Bots, which was my first introduction into animation.
Yeah.
Which is my love, my Boulder man. I have him right here, always next to me. Boulder.
Aw.
Boulder.
And that's in your animation reel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep.
Awesome.
You know all about that reel. My boy D gave me the best reel. I have to call you, by the way, for that.
Okay.
Do you do that, Dave?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, mostly what I did for that was I just took a bunch of stuff and edited together. I have a really specific kind of psychology behind the way that I edit animation reels.
Mine's old.
Yeah, if you want me to take a look at it, I will. Because again, I have this kind of weird way that I edit things, and this is little insider stuff here, but I don't like animation reels specifically to sound like you went to a studio and made a demo.
Yeah.
Right.
I want it to, because if you listen to all of the best reels, you listen to Frank's reel, like Frank Welker, somebody like that. Some poor assistant at his agency had to go on YouTube and grab a bunch of samples and cram them all together.
Right.
So, and what that says to the listener is, I'm just listening to real work. You didn't go in and just make a demo. So what I usually do is I'll take a mixture of stuff that, like for mine, it's a mixture of auditions, some actual work, some stuff I did just because I needed to.
Yeah.
But then I'll cut it all together. I'll vary things up. I'll have different bit rates. I'll have different compression. I'll have different EQ, so that it all sounds like it came from a different source. And then I edit things. I try to take a general order of where I want to show the voices.
Yep.
Then I'll cut that down, get my order, cut down to one complete thought. so that each character delivers a complete thought, because that'll show some of the acting in the character if there's a complete thought there. And I'll vary the length of those complete thoughts and not put things next to each other that are the same length. I won't put voices next to each other that are the same type or same voice print. And
Thank you.
I cut them just slightly too close.
I love it.
Because it's sort of the premise is, imagine, like, you know, when you're walking, if you start to fall, you'll run to stay up.
Yep.
So when I cut them just before you think it's going to land, it never lets the listener settle in and figure, okay, I got it.
Yes.
It tells you to the end, and by the end you go, oh, I just listened to the whole thing. I didn't even realize it. That's my psychology there, so.
I am totally going to be in touch with you. I'm so out of date, and it's sad, and yeah.
I used to use that. I also use that philosophy on auditions too. Like I used to like do a clean cut from auditions, and now I kind of go bam, 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 like basically like just one after the next. Instead of letting a big lull and gap go in between your next take, I kind of like try to make it more animated because it kind of keeps your attention snapped.
And on commercials, when they send multiple commercials, I'll switch around the order of the spots because they've heard them a certain way the whole time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when you switch around, they're really listening. Then they're like, wait, what? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, when I produce animation reels, I do something very similar actually, because a lot of people come to me at the beginning of their career, and so they don't have a lot of material to pull from right away.
Right.
So what I do is I create copy for them, designed to build it around what they're good at, and
for sure,
you know, their strengths and the things that they do that nobody else does. And then once we've and I approach each one like it's the middle of a scene. So we're coming in the middle of the action, the middle of the thought, the middle of the conversation, and make sure that each one has a different emotional state, right? So we're showing a range of different acting behaviors, basically.
Because it's the acting. That's the thing. It's not.
Exactly. It's not a sound reel. It's an acting reel. No. Exactly so. But then John Cheminsky over at Atlantis Group, whom I work with all the time, shout out to John.
Hi, John.
He will filter each and every take differently, so they all sound like they're from different microphones in different sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't sound exactly like it's one, session of doing all, like a demo. It sounds like it's all these different sessions.
Well, when people want to put those fancy transitions between stuff, and it's like that says, I went to a studio and I recorded a demo. People want to hear, when they hear a demo, they really want to hear, are you working? What have you worked on? What can we expect from you?
Which is exactly, they want to be able to pull your performance out from the demo and go, well, if he can do that, then we know that, or we can put that right into the action that we're doing right now.
And that's a funny thing, like you were talking about a minute ago, Dave, like I want to hear that they've worked. Also, to me, I think some of those created pieces are important. I've always felt like, because a demo's not just to prove where you've been, it's also to throw your hat over the wall for where you're going.
Exactly.
Like I have I have a few characters that have never been hired, and I'm like, hire her because she's really fun,
that's tight.
So they need to, like, I want to throw that out there. I just have to crack my door because single mom, got to make sure my kid can actually see.
Make sure they're not burning down the house. Make sure they're not burning down the house. Burning down the house.
Although the upstairs, it might not be bad. Okay,
I do my first demo I ever did, dude. I listened back to it and I did a whole gimmick, dude. I basically started with me like sitting down at the couch and you heard the sound effect of me creaking the couch, and I go, ooh, looks like what's on TV? Ooh, commercials. And then you hear me turn on the TV, and then all of a sudden you hear like the white noise, and then it clicks.
Yep.
Then
we all did that stuff.
Then I did like a click of the remote control button, and then so every new take was a click of the button turning the channel on the TV, right? Yeah. And I thought I was just the most genius, I thought I was the most I'm like, dude, this is the freshest demo anyone's ever heard. And I was like, man, why am I not getting any kind of responses from it?
And essentially what that proves is that you're a really great producer.
Yeah.
A really good fighter.
Well, I had an idea for one and I never did it, but it was one of those, okay, I need to show off all the dialect accent stuff because that's what I'm known for. So I had this idea, and I never did this, but I was going to write this spot where it was a meeting at the UN And
God. Oh,
and
that's
so
awesome.
I got the chance to go around to do all kinds of different accents, but it was going to be all of them basically reciting the lyrics to the theme song from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh my God!
And
Now you have to do it. Now that you
I
put
never
on
did it, but I
stage.
just thought one of the things too is like, if you can make people laugh as an introduction, they'll remember you because they're like, oh, I remember him. I remember her.
Absolutely.
Oh, they made
Dave.
me laugh. That made me feel good. I love that.
You just reminded me of my very first animation reel. I was not allowed to watch cartoons as a kid. And
Wow, the irony.
I know.
Oh,
I
man.
came to LA and my first audition was for Krizia, Where on Earth is Carmen San Diego. And
Nice.
I booked the role of Ivy, and I'd never even watched a cartoon. I was like, what the what? So I jumped into every class in town. Thank you, thank you, Chris Zimmerman. Thank you, Sue Blue. Thank you, everybody I ever worked with. Thank you, Charlie Adler.
Yes,
and
Love
Charlie.
Charlie.
I love you,
Quite the list.
Charlie.
oh
Yeah.
God, in that Dee Baker and I were in two of my first classes together. We were in Sue Blue's class together and Charlie Adler's class
Oh my
together.
God.
Another
And,
genius.
Awesome.
I poached him.
You're both
to
with
an
the same
agency.
agent.
I was like, you need to be with my agents, and I was just bossy again. I don't know what's up with that.
There's not.
Anyway.
Don't say bossy. Say commanding.
I was
Commanding,
very commanding.
You're the queen, Jen.
I'm a
and,
leader. Get in line.
Exactly.
So, but my reel, I remember when I made my reel, because I had been working in VO back in Birmingham, Alabama and Atlanta, Georgia for 8 years before I came to LA. And I knew reels. I always produced my reel with some amazing mentors. Thank you, Greg and Courtney.
And this was back when they were actually reels, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, it was razor blades and tape. Like when I started, you had to do a 60-second commercial continuous, and they were for small market car dealers. And the agencies would have like 5 different clients, and they just pop in, change the name of the dealership, so they drop it in. But sometimes you'd have like Roy Buckner Chevrolet, and then you'd have Tully's, and they'd all have to fit in the same, literally razor blade space.
Oh my God.
So
That's
I
crazy.
learned how to read and change like a sentence in and a sentence after to make it work, and the skill set was extraordinary. But
So good to have learned that
Yeah.
way,
This is
it
honestly.
was
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
incredible.
for sure.
But my point, what made me think of this was in my reel, my first reel in LA, talking about getting their attention. The one thing that I took to immediately in the show that I could identify was action sounds. So
Yeah.
my entire reel, the first 10 seconds of my reel was, like action sounds just for 10 seconds. They're like, what is happening? Or maybe it was 5.
That's awesome.
It was long enough. And then I went into talking, and I did the whole, I love the whiplash thing where it was like, it's this kind of a voice followed by this guy,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
somewhere in the middle,
Yeah, you
and
never let it land, because if you
No.
let it land, people will figure, I got the idea.
you're that.
Move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, you're
And
done.
that's
Exactly.
that's the thing I have to say about being in a property with a lot of I don't know what you call it, momentum, whatever the heck, games like Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect and the larger projects that I've been in. People get used to you in a particular way, and they're like, "Oh, you do that," and I'm like, "I
For
do."
sure.
And I also do. Watch this. Look at that. You hear that? It's it's an interesting sort of thing to navigate. Is
Yeah,
all
definitely.
that we're not just one thing. We might be really known for one thing, but there's a lot of other things, and I think that's up to us just to continue to presence that and keep playing,
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially since we all have voices in our heads.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, lots of them.
Krizia, what were you going to say?
What was that? No, I didn't know. No, I was agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you that, yeah, it's funny. I got in, well, maybe that's a question you're coming in with, but did we have an intro for Mr. Tatum?
We did.
We
Yeah,
did
we
it?
did.
Oh, okay. I
We
didn't want to
introduced
step on
everyone.
To be fair, I didn't hear it either.
that. No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
So
stepping.
if I had a blank expression on my face, that would be why.
That's what I was like, okay.
I think we should do this all together.
Very-
Wait, everybody all
Very
together.
kind of you.
The line is, welcome, Richard Tatum. We are so happy to have you with us. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Welcome,
Welcome,
Richard
Richard
Tatum.
Tatum.
We are
We are
so happy to have
have
you.
you with
Have you
us.
with us.
Yes.
I'm honored to be here.
Tell
You know,
us a
Jeff-
story.
All right. I was going to ask a question about demos later on, but I think
Oh,
we
no,
all
we ruined it.
We
unintentionally
just blew
answered.
that, didn't we?
I have a question. In all of this, why does Krizia's hair still look so good?
Oh,
Right?
why, thank
Yeah.
you so
It is
much.
pretty fabulous, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because she's
thank you,
channeling
guys.
her mother.
It's kind of great.
Right.
That's right. There you go.
Although let me tell you, this was a thing because, and actually to your point, Jen, what you were saying earlier, like getting stuck in a certain way that people see you. So it's like I've had to learn. At the beginning, I used to be kind of like just adverse to it, like, oh well, she's just the Latina, you know, like just throw her all the accent stuff. But then I got to be, then I changed my perspective. I was like, well, if this is my way in,
Right.
let me just go for it and then show them everything else I could do. So yeah, that was a great way for me to get in, to showcase, you know, the depth of that character, not just, you know, the stereotypical stuff. And then also when they add, you know, hey, can you just do this one and that one? And then I also would come up with stuff, and, you know, I also have this available in my back pocket. I'm able to do that. And that helped me grow. And then that ties into the hair. Most Latinas are used to that long, beautiful hair. And I was finally this year, I was like, that's it. I'm chopping it. And my curls have been crazy since I've done that. So I don't know, but
It's beautiful.
That's that Latin
great.
curl, baby. You can't.
You don't look
Curl
quarantined.
together,
I'm gonna say that.
You can't, you know, that's that Latin curl, babe. That's that Latin twist.
no.
I gotta keep
No.
sitting down. I don't have a stool yet in here, so I have this tiny little short chair, so I keep going up and down. But you know, you just reminded me of something. When I first came out, there was this conversation. There's always a conversation that it's hard to get into VO or whatever, and when somebody puts a limitation out there, it annoys the crap out of me. And I'm like la 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 la. You know, people put a box out, but it only holds you if you're willing to stay in it.
Ooh,
Right. Oh.
Yep.
boom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope all of you took notes on that one.
Yeah, and don't be mad at them for putting out a box. They're just trying to order their world in a way they can cope with.
Well, and the reality is that, you know, most people don't think the way we do. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, just that we are very nature as artists.
We're unusual.
Yeah, we are. We're weirdos. We are. And
Love it.
and
Yep.
here's a perfect example of that. When I first booked the Jimmy Dean thing, so they had done 2 rounds of auditions for that. So the first one was just me. The second one, they wanted more like the Ted Knight Super Friends announcer. So I did that. And then I booked. So I went in assuming they booked off the second voice.
Right.
I got there and they said, oh no, actually it was decided we were going to go with the first thing and we just liked the natural thing. So I did that. So I had the people from the ad agency there. So I did all the first 4 or 5 spots of the campaign, just in the me voice. And then we moved on and they said, hey, listen, you know, we got done way early. We got time. Since you're here and we know you can do it, would you mind doing the other voice as well? And I was like, sure, of course. Yeah, whatever you want. So as I start doing that, another guy from the agency who hadn't been there comes in and hears me in the middle of doing this entire sound, doing that thing. And so he's, oh, that, you know, that's great. And I meet him when I come out of the booth, and then they put up the first of the actual spots with the you know,
The
Fight the Morning
natural.
Fate with that thing. And I was like, oh man, I love this spot and I love how I sound there. And the guy looks at me and goes, wait a minute, that's you? And I said, yeah. And he goes, wow, some range. And I was like, range? You ain't
It's like,
seen nothing.
you know what I'm saying?
But that was his perception was, you're that voice.
Right.
You're that
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
And don't you find I run into that a lot more in commercials? I
for
will
sure.
sometimes
Yeah,
I'll
Yes,
do-
absolutely.
Animation's different. They expect
Yeah.
it from us.
Yeah, I'll
Right.
do a
And games.
preemptive communication in commercial sessions. I'll walk in and say, listen, I'll say I do a lot of animation, a lot of games as well. So that just like, there's a lot of options in the closet you may not be aware of. I don't say it that way, but I just say I do a lot of that. So I've got a lot of range available if you want to try some different stuff.
Absolutely.
And I also say I take nothing personally. Even you suck, now leave. So just
You know what?
direct.
And
And I
that's
don't mind line readings. Those are all my things, because not everybody knows how to communicate in the way that we are. And it's our job to translate and make it organic, not to be pissed off they didn't do it. You know, you didn't send it in pennies in a green sock. You know, I don't want it.
Anytime I work with a director I'd never worked with before, I tell them up front, listen, if I give you a couple of readings and it's not getting there, just read it to me.
Yeah.
I have zero problem with line readings. Just read it to me. Just
Although-
go at the door. Just if we're not communicating, I would rather you do it. Even if you say I'm going to be terrible, great, but I'll have probably a better idea what you're asking me to do if I hear you do it.
I mean, it's like giving me the cliff notes, man. I mean, why wouldn't you not like? I'm always like, people like.
We're just here to get the job done right and get it done quickly.
And I appreciate when they get.
Conversely to that, I will say there have been times where I've been given a line reading that was exactly the same as the last thing that they said to me, which
I had that too.
example,
Oh
you know.
God.
That's confusing.
So it'll be. I
sure.
got one once. I was playing. Oh God, I don't remember the name of the game. Mobile game. I was playing a big angry Scotsman. Red beard. There was an axe. Of course, I did it Scottish, and I got booked. So, the character comes in. You know, and the director says to me, "Okay, so you came in with but what we really need there is You got it?"
I have
And
had
of course,
the
you know, the
exact-
answer we all are trained to give is absolutely, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then you give them something slightly different and they're like, yeah, I was heard.
Or 30 takes down the road, they get you back to the first take and go, that's it. Finally, we got what we were looking for.
Oh my God.
Dude,
Oh,
I once,
yeah.
this gives you an idea of how old this story is. I was doing, I played a character on a Blockbuster video TV spot.
Oh,
Gives you
yeah.
an idea of how old this is.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're only
it
like
was-
20. How's that possible?
I know, it's astonishing. Yeah, it was one of the pet store spots where you know, it was the rabbit and the hamster or the guinea pig in the front of the pet
Yes, I
store.
remember that
So
one.
yeah, there was a character who was a
Yes.
mouse, and that was the mouse. So
Oh, dude, I remember that.
I had one line. The line was, "Hey guys, Ray got sold," and they made
Yes.
me do it 100 times.
Yep.
33 takes of A, B, and C plus one for a level, and it's like, really, you didn't get that in the first 10 minutes? Okay, well,
And
they
they
have you
used
for an
Take Two.
hour.
I'm sure they used Take Two. When I was doing
Yeah.
Gateway, I think it was the third ad agency that had been on the campaign. And it was several years in, and there was a guy, young producer in his 20s, and he was taking the voiceover class. And
Oh, no.
there's still construction out there. And
That's
and
okay. Leaf blower is going to show up here any minute, I'm sure. So.
oh my God, I had it on take two, and I knew it. 85 takes later, we were done. And I mean, I'm
Wow.
thinking you know, in my head is,
Stanley Kubrick?
dude, I know the owner of the, I know this company more than you ever will. But you know what? That's not my job. My job is
Right.
to go,
Yep.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I mean, you
And
got
get
some,
paid scale.
sometimes you have to breathe and be like, I'm blessed to be in the booth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if you want me to breathe a certain way, I'll do it. Whatever. That's why I'm always like, you know, people apologize. I'm like, no, don't apologize at all. Give me the line read. What do you guys want? You know, what do you need? What do you need?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here to be like to convey your message. So
Right.
You know, I always liken us to, I always say we're like studio musicians. I think most of us probably
Yes.
are musicians, but we are like
Great-
studio musicians
great parallel.
because
Yeah.
you hire us because we have the chops
Yeah.
to walk in and sight read anything you put in front of us
Yeah.
and play anything you need us to do.
Yes.
But sometimes you just need us to play whole notes because it's not technical, it's not exciting, but you know what? You don't play the whole note, no chord, no harmony, no music. We're there to make the music.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
there to
Great
bring the skill
analogy.
set to
Yeah.
realize whatever it is you are kind enough to pay us to do.
Well,
That's our whole purpose to be there, is to fulfill your need and make the music.
And this also, though, inspires me to shout out to the unbelievably gifted, unsung artists in games, which is the voice directors.
Thank you. And the writers.
Yes.
Incredible people, those incredible people who know how to tee it up, whether it's, you know, in the booth, one-on-one with multiples or on motion capture, they know how to tee it up and just hands off and watch the magic happen. You know, you've got your, I mean, I hate to see to make, let's do a name party. We got Chris Zimmerman, Chris Brown,
Hello.
Yeah.
Andrea
Jenny.
Toyas. We've got, you know, my God, Andrea Romano.
Farley.
We've got so many. Was that
Charlie
Farley.
Adler,
Charlie
Farley, yeah.
Adler, Amanda Wyatt? Like, oh my God, there's
Jenny
so
McSwain.
many. Jenny McSwain.
Jenny's
Oh,
great.
oh,
yeah.
my Jenny, my
Well,
Jenny.
Adore Jenny.
Yeah, I got
I
to
adore
work with
all
Keith
of those
Farley a
people,
bunch of
honestly.
times. Keith is just
Keith.
he's one of the best.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. There's,
Keith
but
Aram,
they,
Al Aram.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
yeah,
Yep.
they're so responsible for the tones of modern gaming, and nobody knows it.
Well, beyond that, though, they understand how to talk actor,
Yes.
which is
And they know
something very
how to
often you.
play.
Yeah, exactly so. Yeah. They know what to give you and they know when to back off.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
there's that magic moment, right? When, you know, a new director will come on and they'll describe the scene and you'll get that, oh, you feel that internal light up.
Mhm.
And they keep talking.
Yeah.
And the
yes.
internal light up dims and dims and dims and dims and dims. And you're like, oh. And the ones who
Let
know,
me do this. Let me do this. Let me do
they
this.
see the internal light up and they're off the button. They go ahead.
You know who I think set the gold standard for just brevity and concision and just nailing it was Andrea Romano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Never
Charlie
gave
too.
you more than you needed. She gave you exactly what she wanted, and she gave you like 2 words, and you understood. Okay, I know what you want from me. Boom.
Did anybody else have the amazing work with Gordon Hunt?
I never got to.
I never got to either.
Yeah, once a long time ago.
Wasn't he? I mean,
Oh, yes.
I love you, Gordon. I know you're there.
Yeah, that was someone who really understood the details in the craft. Yeah.
And he came out of theater too, which is
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
was a
mentored
theater
a lot
director.
of those
Yeah.
directors.
I was
we
going to
could
say a lot of
stand
them will say they are who they are because of Gordon
because of
Hunt.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so I know
The
we
whole
run off
the whole
that.
Hanna-Barbera crew, all of them, like Chris.
Oh my
and-
God. Oh my God.
yeah.
I flushed my pager down the toilet at Hanna-Barbera twice. They started calling, my agent started calling me Flush Gordon. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Nice.
guilty.
No.
And I was laughing
God.
so hard after I did it one time, I couldn't even get down the hallway. I was laughing so hard. I was bent over laughing, just weak with laughter. I was just like, I just flushed my pager.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
They had
And you
really
tell
big
that to kids today and they don't understand you.
Jeff, we've run off with this panel. What are we supposed to be
yes,
doing?
can I moderate again, please?
Sorry.
No, this was all good stuff. This is actually better than I was expecting, but anyway.
We're so happy to see each
Thank
other and
you.
talk to
I
people.
know.
I know, dude.
know.
I know.
You can see how much we love each other. Anyway,
Mhm.
let me ask my next question before we get into the thing everyone wants to see. And it's funny you mentioned Flush Gordon because, Jen, you and Dave have both done Flash Gordon reads
Yeah.
for me in the past.
Yeah, I was just thinking that actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone on the panel, tell us about what it was like for you to do your first voiceover job and how did it feel to be in the booth for the first time?
Ooh,
Richard, why don't we
nice.
start with you again?
Man, that is a really interesting question. My first voiceover job, weirdly enough, was I was in Canada. I was doing a play up in Canada, and I got hired to do a bunch of voice matches for this claymation local video store. That ended up being really awful. So I'm going to tell you another story. I literally picked up the phone and the guy was, "Hey, Richard." "Yeah, hello." "Hey, you know what time it is?" And I'm like, "I don't even know who this is." I'm like, "Okay, what time is it?" It's like, "It's showtime."
That's awesome.
I'm not making this up. So I'm like, "Oh, this is not going to go well." And
Oh,
it
no.
did not. So instead, I'm going to give you a good story. The first VO gig I remember doing was a TV pilot called The Magic Toy Box, where I was voicing and puppeteering a talking telephone with googly eyes, whom they originally called Ringo.
Pretty on
But-
the nose.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. They also suddenly realized there might be some legal issues, so they changed the name to Phony.
Oh,
But I still have they still have me doing Ringo stuff the entire time we were doing it.
Nice.
But what was so
Star
great?
6'9".
Yeah. Ooh. That's just not a good thought.
I wasn't even making that joke. Just remember, Star 6'9" used to be an actual thing.
I do, but see what happens?
It's June 9th. It worked. Look, I got the Wild Stallion shirt on. Go on.
Yeah, well, yeah. But no, the thing I remember is, I'd been a theater and a film actor up to that point, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to shave, and I don't have to shave. Nobody sees me. I'm not going to shave today. So yeah, I was in my box, unshaven, with my hand up a telephone, doing all the voices and rolling his eyes around with the other material, with the little switch. And I just remember thinking, I want to do this every day for the rest of my life. It was the most fun I'd ever had. And then, as we were talking about before, then I ended up talking to all these other voiceover actors, and it was like, these are the nicest people
Yep.
Why do I want to be in any other part of the industry?
Exactly.
So that's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
I
I'm
am.
sticking to it.
Yeah.
Dave?
It's my B story, but I'll take it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, me?
Yes, it's your
Okay.
turn now.
Actually, the funny thing is, I remember my first ever paid voice job. Because I when I was living in Boston for a while doing music back in my 20s, and kind of got the idea. I'm like, oh, because I was kind of trying to split between music and acting, and I realized, oh, there's actually a way to make a living, or at least do some work doing the things that I'm capable of doing that are just part of my natural thing. So I kind of had started working on things. I ended up moving out to Idaho because I just was sick of living in the big city, and I just wanted to get out for a while. I was going to go for a few months. Ended up staying there for about 3-4 years, and actually really kind of cut my teeth there because I did hundreds of local TV and radio spots and internet stuff. And so I was in the booth several times a week for years getting paid. And, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was, man, it was on the job training in the best possible way. And the first one I did though, because when I got to town, I had just made an awful voiceover reel full of gimmicks and way too long. And, I go back and listen to it now. And I'm like, okay, the work is not so bad, but the ideas and the length, and it's just crazy. But
5 minutes later.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got to town, and I just kind of said, I want to do some work here. So I went through the phone book. Remember phone books? I went through the phone book. This is all, the internet existed, but it wasn't a regular thing for everybody. And I just went through and went to every ad agency and radio station and recording studio I could find, because there was one talent agency in Boise at the time. So I was like, I'm not even going to, I'm just going to do it. So I just sent out letters and cassettes to everybody saying, hey, I'm new in town and I do this. And if you have any work or anything, I'd love to talk to you, just the usual introduction thing. So one of the guys, I don't remember if it was an introduction or exactly how it happened, but I met a guy who hired me to do a TV spot for Pro Golf of Idaho. It was Pro Golf of Idaho. It was a local golf shop. The guy that hired me, his name was Randy Fowler. The little interesting thing there was his brother is Kevin Fowler, who you probably know better as Kevin Spacey. So this was Kevin Spacey's brother. Back, this was in 2001. Was it? No, actually, no. It was earlier than that. It would have been like 97.
Around the time that Kevin Spacey did Public
Service
Enemy. What was the first movie he did with Bryan Singer and Chris McQuarrie? Anyway.
Yeah, this was 1997.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember, I went to his house, to Randy's house, and he was also a musician, and he also toured as a drag performer too. Yeah, so it's an interesting story. Real nice guy.
In 1997, that's bold. I love that.
Yeah, he was a super interesting guy too. Really cool. Hired me. I came over. He had, the mic just on the stand in the middle of his living room with all the gear set up and everything. No treatment or anything. And I recorded he showed me the video, and I recorded the spot, and just, I remember it was like, okay, somebody just paid me to do that. That is so cool. And of course the idea of like, oh my God, I worked for Kevin Spacey's brother was like a thing, because it's like, you kind of, the exalted air of above. But so that was the first one. And it was cool because it was just exciting. The first time I turned on the TV and there it was, and I heard my voice, and it's like, wait a minute, that's me. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Krizia?
I kind of had a crazy start where, well, I did on-camera work. I've done on-camera work since I was 15, but I really got started about, it's like a decade anniversary for me. And I have a really great voiceover mentor, Scott Holst. Love him.
Oh, yeah, Scott's great.
Scott's wonderful. And he got me started in classes. And I knew, you know, people are like, you have such a great voice, you should try it. I used to pretend to do the GPS voices when they first came into cars, like, please make a right turn on
Ooh.
Riverside Drive.
God damn, that's smooth, dude.
How many
No,
car
and
accidents
so I
did
would
you
just
cause?
I
play.
involuntarily just turned right. I couldn't hear.
There you go. Smart
I'm
man.
sure you did.
and so I didn't think that was a thing. You know, when you get to a point where you're like, whoa, there is a job for this. I didn't know. So, but I'm a class freak. I love training. I love learning. It's funny. I didn't do great at it when I was supposed to in high school and college. I was like,
I
barely.
feel that.
But yeah, right. But now I'm so hungry all the time. I'm like, give me the class, give me the webinar, give me this. So when somebody told me that, I wasn't gonna just, you know, be like, great, I'll jump into voice. I'm like, no, I gotta learn about what this world is.
Exactly.
And I train. I did workout groups. I didn't do my demo for like a year and a half because
Smart.
Yep.
and I try to tell
Yep.
everybody that, you know, we all get it. Hey, how do I get into voiceover? Which is wonderful, but it's like, and then they want to jump into demos. I go, you can't, don't do it. You can.
Right.
So I took my time really. And then also to get out of my own head. I felt like, you know, when you're first learning a skill, you're really excited about it, but then you're second guessing yourself and you don't know if what you're doing is right. And then I was just letting this stop me instead of just having fun with it. And the thing that I love about what Scott did was back then, guys, back in 2010, like Sofia Vergara was not famous. She was in the Latin world, but not, you know, in general market. And
Right.
so that idea of doing a very heavy Latin accent wasn't normalized like it is now. But I would always do it because, again, this is me channeling my family. And I remember in my workout group, everybody was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. You've got to do that voice. I was like, what am I going to use that for? Like, nobody wants to hear this. I honestly didn't think that at all. And again, stopping myself until my very first audition. When my manager got wind that I was doing classes and I was, you know, training and all this stuff, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to throw this at you. And I don't know if y'all remember, but there was an Old Navy campaign where it was the supermodelkins that would talk.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know
Sure.
exactly which one. Yeah. Yes. I did scratch track for all those.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
So it came through that it was basically the
So she
poor man
took your
Sofia
gig.
Vergara.
No, not at all. But I heard her voice. I heard your voice, and so I'm sorry to keep it around. I heard your voice on all the takes, like with the one with the super Latin flair. So
Yes!
that's what's awesome.
Dude, well, the funny thing is when I got that accent, it didn't say, I'm sorry, when I got that audition, it didn't say have the accent. It didn't say anything. It was just there.
Right.
And I
You showed them the way.
Listen, it was so banana pants because Scott kept saying, keep it in your back pocket. And I remember visualizing taking nothing out of my back pocket. But I was like, here it is. Here it is. This is my chance. And I was like, let me take a chance. I've never done this before. What do I got to lose? I don't have the job now anyway. Might as well try. And I had so much fun in that audition. And I just did what I felt was fun and right for me.
Yep.
And I freaking booked it. And I didn't know. I didn't know back then. I did a lot of on-camera commercials, but you do one unless you have a crazy campaign like Flo, right? But I was like, this is a year long. They kept calling me in. And when I would see what this entailed, I was like, what is this world of voiceover? What?
Yes. Oh my God.
I went crazy and I was like, this is amazing. And it just opened up my eyes to so many things. And my first, Jennifer Hale, I gotta say, being on a panel with you, yes, ma'am, is kind of nuts for me because I know we haven't officially met, but you were one of the first people, because Scott would tell me about you, and then you were one of the ones that I was like looking up to and seeing everything you're doing and trying to learn from you. Like, no, truly. And it's such an honor to be here with you because I'm like, wow, I cannot believe that to a decade later, I'm in a panel with you.
Oh my God. And you said banana pants. You're the only other person I've ever met who says banana pants.
It is banana pants.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, I'm freaking out over that. And then funny, really quick for my interactive world, it was kind of around the same time. Guys, don't kill me on this. I again, like you, didn't watch, I watched cartoons, but I didn't play games. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of shows. Yeah, I didn't play. So I got into I'm a sim, and I've been a sim for 8 years. One of my first things, and it's because, again, I love to improvise. I love to just, my whole mantra is like, let's just have fun. I kind of just enjoy that. And I didn't know what I was doing being, you know, a sim audition, and I have my little, you know, sim book, and it's like coming up with stuff. And that was one of my first ones too, is having, being part of the Sims family. And that's been insane. So I'm obsessed with this world, this community.
Oh,
And I'm just so grateful. And it's been an incredible ride ever since. And I'm so excited for more in the future because
more is
stoked.
coming. More is
yeah.
coming. With that
Definitely.
mindset, more is coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And when I go to Cuba, I'm calling you.
Please, I have so much to tell you.
I
Yes.
think I'm going to go next year if everything's safe enough and calm enough.
Ooh, yes. I would love to chat with you about that. You
Yeah.
just let me know.
Yeah. Ah, amazing.
God, Cuba sounds good right now, dude. Sounds so
Right.
awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Kimberly, you talk now.
Yeah, so I have to echo Krizia. Like, I'm fangirling out being on a panel with you, Jennifer Hale, because
You guys.
We
growing
all
up,
are, honestly.
like,
Come on.
seriously, like I've always been a gamer and played games, and
Oh,
I used to play Baldur's Gate.
oh my
Dark
God, yes.
Alliance, so
Yes.
that was, one of my inspirations for getting into the industry. So anyway, it's such an honor.
Oh, you guys are getting me,
with
man.
you.
I'm like, oh my God, really?
Praise the
Yeah.
queen, man. Praise the queen.
But I guess the first chance I got to do voiceover was when I was in college. There was a dance piece going on. They were doing a live dance performance, and they were looking for a voice for it, speaking out against war. So I got to record something for that and go and watch the performance and hear my voice being combined with this art. And it
And where
felt
did you go to
amazing
college?
to,
Where did you go to college?
Princeton?
Oh, excuse me.
Good girl.
just like, just casual, Princeton, it's just a little college that,
You own that, girl.
That's that little
Yell that
community
out, girl.
college,
That's
right?
fantastic, man. That's
What did you major in? What was your focus?
Neuroscience and theater.
oh my God.
Like
Yes,
you do.
please. Yes, we were having a coffee conversation around all that.
God.
That's
Yeah, I was
phenomenal.
originally pre-med, and then I actually took my first acting classes in college,
Oh my God, that's awesome.
and just fell in love with it. But seeing how impactful a voiceover can be, and making a difference and making people feel,
Dude.
that's where I got my first taste of that. And then when I came out to LA, and I wanted to get into voiceover, I went to a class. Dave Fenoy was teaching a commercial class.
Dave.
And I went up to him afterwards and I was like, Dave, this is really great. I really want to get into animation and video games. Like, what do I need to do? So he was just really kind and offered me advice on what classes to take, where to train. So I jumped on that and listened to everything he said. And then my first job, I would say that I remember, is recording with Colette Sunderman
Yes,
for
Colette.
Barbie Starlight Adventure.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And it was really
Another
special
good-
for me because it was a black Barbie in
Awesome.
space.
Awesome.
I remember her
Um,
talking about this.
Yeah,
I
and
remember.
I have a
Yes.
doll from it. Here's my little.
Ah,
So it
that's
really
great.
made an impact on me,
Awesome.
and it was an ensemble record, which I'd never done before.
Oh God, I love that.
So Erica Lindbeck was
Especially
there,
now.
Robbie
It's so-
Damon, and I walked in, and there was Colette, and it's just like,
Mm.
this
You're
is
like,
amazing. Can I do
Cut
this
out.
every day?
Let's get it done. Let's get it done, man. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, you're like super impressive.
Yeah,
So
I'm just
great.
like, I'm like, I was like, what? I went to Santa Monica City College for 6 years. I'm just like, anyway.
It all has its place.
Yeah.
Yep. Jen, who do you want to fangirl over?
All of you, because I mean, geez, this is amazing. I love this community, I mean, because to me, I look at the work from with another layer on it, which is the energy of it and the meta conversation of it. And the one thing that we are all echoing and that we practice is community. And a friend of mine is a really brilliant person and studied anthropology. And she was sharing that, people always talk about survival of the fittest, et cetera. But if you actually read that text, that phrase is maybe a half a dozen times in the text. And I think over 200 times is community and cooperation. And that's how we all move forward. And I listen to you guys and you're all so intelligent and so kind. And and you're getting a sense of your value, which is, I think, the next step for all of us. When I look at us as a community and I see where we've been, and it's a little bit different track than what you asked, Jeff, but it's just coming to me right now. There's this sort of mentality among a lot of us, which is like, I'm just glad I'm working. I'm just glad I'm working. Well, how about you all are amazing, and of course you're working, and let's all stand for each other while we're working. Like
always.
Especially as we're making this crazy transition, right, into working from home. I've heard some things about people are being asked to engineer for themselves, et cetera, and we're like, no. We perform. We know some great engineers. We're not going to put them out of work.
No, we're not.
Right.
Exactly.
And you don't
we can't
know
put them
that.
out of work.
Engineers that I learned from every time I go to a session, an engineer's there. They're the ones who makes it sound good. They're the ones who they also direct. They do. They have. They're the unsung heroes in the
absolutely.
Like Ricardo, Peter Munters.
Yeah. But Jeff, you were asking what I'm fangirling over. It's like, for me, it's now, especially with the world the way it is, it's about the energetic thrust of where everything's going. Where's our energy? Where's our intention? Where's our yes? Where's sort of our, if you will, vibration? Like, are we down here and, I don't know what's going to happen? Or are we up here and it's all good? It's already worked out. We're a community. We are here with each other. And we're just having, as you said, Krizia, having a great time. And by the way, Dave, we lived the same life. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I used to cold call ad agencies when I was 18. I'd put on a little suit, put my hair up in a little bun, and go around on a schedule, knock on, cold call with my demo. And I mean, good Lord, we had the similar deals. So funny. And while you were hanging with Kevin Spacey's brother, I met David Hayter in 1995.
Oh yeah.
Working on Spider-Man, the 90s Spider-Man. He was Captain America and I was Black Cat. And we started hanging out. He's just one of my favorite humans. And we've been friends forever. And we would go out when he was a really social person. And I'm like, I'm good, but I was like, you're having fun. I'll go hang with you guys. And he would hang out with Kevin and Chris McQuarrie and Brian Singer, like all those guys while they did this movie before, Usual Suspects. I can't remember the name of the one before that, but that's what I was. So we have these like parallel things going on. It's so funny. And you said banana pants, Krizia. And you're all amazing. It's just, and thank you for the words that you said. It's very kind. Thank you. So, Back to you, Jeff. I'm shy now. I have to go check on my kid.
Why are you shy? Girl, please.
He's set on fire.
You're like that. They have the opposite.
10-year-old boys.
And they never saw her.
Imari, you talk now.
Okay, where we talking? We're doing like what the first VO gig, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Sure, why not?
Okay. So I started off at Cosmo Street. And I still work there actually. They're like a family to me because I really credit them for giving me the platform to be who I am right now. For anyone out there, if you are interested in voiceovers, the best way to kind of get your feet wet and to kind of learn is on the job. And if you can become a PA, if you can become an assistant, if you can become someone like either at a sound house, a cut house, a trailer house, anywhere that can kind of get you around, you can kind of see the process on how people, you meet agencies, copywriters and such, and you can kind of like obtain that information. So I started off like, hauling trash and client services and being a runner and stuff. And then in between, I would do these scratch tracks because people said, oh, you have a nice, cool voice. And my friend, someone mentioned about someone saying that they had a nice voice. And then I have people saying I should do radio and all this stuff, but I had no idea what the hell that meant. I always had this voice. Like, what did I do? And I studied acting when I got out of high school, but I always had my eyes set on like being on big screen. And then I chickened out when I was in my 20s and wound up floating around and wound up at this place to try to become an editor. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be an editor. Then I quickly was like, I don't want to be an editor. It's really boring to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to kind of get around and move around. So I just stayed on as a client service guy, and they started using me for audition for scratch tracks. So I started doing stuff that I heard already. There's a guy who did Burger King. He passed away. I totally forgot his name right now, but he was really good. He had a voice that sounded like this. It was really deep, and he would be like, the Tender Chris from BK. And I would do like, I totally forgot his name. He was
James John, yeah.
but he was in he did all the stuff for them.
That's
and
Simlish? Wait.
I did a Sims game too.
Yeah, he did all the stuff for Burger King, and I would kind of imitate him, and I would imitate people that were heard, you know, like 'cause that's what was used to. I always imitated people growing up. And then one day, my friend John was like, "Yo," my friend Sean was like, "Hey, we need to do something for Sony Cybershot, you know, but nothing grandiose. We just want you to be regular, just a regular voice." And you know, this is before I started really taking classes, and I was like, "Well, what is that? What's a regular voice? You know, like I don't, you know, he just said, I don't want you to put anything special on it. I just want you to be regular." And that's when I came up with my first VO voice that I use for other auditions now. And this is back in 2007. And it was very much like, you know, it's very much in the middle of the road and, you know, very kind of unassuming. And it was like the Sony Cybershot, watch your favorite TV shows like you watch your favorite movies on HD. And I was like, all right, what? I'll try it, you know. Then the client freaking ran with it, man. And that was my first gig I ever booked was for the Sony Cybershot. And I didn't really understand what, you know, they Taft-Hartley me because I was like, I don't know, you know, I didn't know about the union or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, they're like, okay, we're gonna air this, we're gonna pay you a session fee. Like, great, you know, thank you, you know, $500, great, thank you. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, I get a call from my wife, and she's like, holy shit! She's like, holy shit! We just got $7,000 in the bank. I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, oh my God. And this came at a time when like I was making $11.75 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like we're living, you know, we're paying, you know, living check to check, and all of a sudden, like, you know, the universe was like boom, and I was like, what? I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what? And I was like, okay, well, that's a great gift. And then like the next day I got like another 500. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, I was like, what is going on? And she's like, oh my God. So she's freaking out. I'm freaking out. And I was like, well, I need to start studying because I need to, like, this is awesome. I always loved doing voices, and I always loved taking something and making it something and rising to a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do, whatever like product you have, you know, no matter how generic it is, or any kind of character, no matter how, you know, let's say if it's a mundane character, bringing something to life brings me pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Like I love saying, okay, here's something that I want you to do, and if you like what I do, then I like the creation process of it. You know? Yeah. So like I was like, well, I want to pursue this, and I took classes. Dan Ballestero, he had a class in Marina Del Rey, around 10 people, and we would just run lines together. And then I slowly after that, I booked my first video game with Liam O'Brien and Sam.
Sam.
You know,
Nice.
I was and they did my first video. I think we did Resident Evil. It was Resident Evil. And I played Shona. It was for Resident Evil, and it was like it was for, I think, Operation Raccoon City. The game didn't do too well, but you know, whatever. It was my first thing. So
and now we're living it.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Now, you know, it's about the progression. Exactly, D. It's about the progression. So yeah, it was awesome. But like never, when you strike hot, figure out what you did and build upon that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and don't fear your success either. If you're just starting out and trying to get that first job, don't fear it. Don't question yourself. Don't think that it's like a luck thing. Know that it's a quality that you're able to exude to the person that hired you for the job.
So I just want to tag onto what you said, Imari, because it's so true. What an amazing story, first of all. Oh, I mean, just like the work ethic behind it, and the openness and the saying yes when things showed up, you know? I mean, having been around for a while, like back when I was doing Gateway, I was on a bunch of commercial stuff, and I've been in this business since I was a teenager. That's awesome. And there's going to be times when what's that?
2-3 years then?
Oh God, 3 decades, baby. Almost.
She just got her learner's permit.
Almost 4. Hey, you know what? I got white hair and coming and time on the planet. I'm so grateful.
I hear you.
Amen.
But
rocking it though, Jen.
Thank you. Where was I going? I was going to talking about you. And
being open and present for when it was there.
Oh yeah, and there's going to be times when you're in fashion and times when you're out of fashion.
For
And
sure.
it has
Oh my God.
nothing, your talent has not changed. Your likability has not changed. Nothing has changed. It's just flavors and trends.
Yes.
Just keep being you. Keep expanding from the inside out of joy, not out of, I got to go get that thing back. Just keep expanding out of joy and living in that place that you're all living from, because your unique signature is so important. Don LaFontaine used to say, you know, even when, no matter what he was doing, no matter how cheesy or whatever somebody might think the movie he was talking about or whatever he was talking about was, there's at least one person out there for whom that matters. And
Yes.
that's who you're talking to, and that's
Exactly.
what you're talking about. Somebody made that and it was their thing. And like, especially in commercials, these are writers, and not all of them have set out to be copywriters. Many have set out to be like fiction writers or nonfiction, like really larger project writers. They're writers, and we get to bring their spark to life. I mean, I think writers should be celebrities, writers and directors, because without
Bobby,
them,
yes.
Oh
nothing.
God, yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's all,
say
it's
that
like, it's like the
time.
Holy Trinity, man. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like you
Because
have,
when the
it's like-
writer's done their job, which they do, the performance is already on the page.
It's
Exactly. Yeah.
It's already
Easy.
there.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great,
you
thank
walk in and go, okay, I get it. Yeah, you gave me everything I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just need to do honor to what you did.
Yeah, and trust ourselves, because it makes me sad. I teach every now and then, and I look at people and I just want to reach inside them and just go, shh, let me reach past all that crap in your head and pull out that amazing soul that I see. That thing that I know happens in the closet, in the mirror, in the home, before you have to go to the show, and then all your crap shows up.
Yeah.
You know, that's
And
one
you
of
know, the thing that I always look at, that no matter which sort of school of acting that you particularly are drawn to me, they all have one goal, all of them, no matter what their methods are, no matter what their techniques are, how you're getting there. The goal is simply to get you out of your own way.
Yeah.
That's it. All of them are just there to teach you how to
Totally.
get out of your own way.
It is true,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
To not get bogged down in it and to just be, because whether you're a voice actor on stage, on camera, I always say it's a different skill set that applies to those things, but ultimately they come from the same place and we all have the same goal. That goal is simply to, whatever the character is, to tell the truth.
Exactly.
You just want to tell the character's truth. That's
Mhm.
it. And being able to get out of your own head and just be that character. It's the thing we did when we were kids.
Exactly.
I got to do a great thing with Amanda Wyatt a few years ago where,
Amanda, love her, my man.
oh yeah, we all love Amanda. She's
Amanda.
Other great director.
we got to do a great
Yep.
thing with her where she did a career day thing at her twin daughter's elementary school. So every year she would bring one of her actors in to kind of help the kids understand what a casting director does. So one of the years she brought me, and she had a set of questions for us to answer, that because, you know, the kids are kind of, and then once you start answering some questions, then they sort of get emboldened. Then the hands go up. Then they start asking. They're like, oh, I want
Exactly.
to know about this. So the first question that she had us answer that she wrote was, why do I love my job? And my answer was this. I looked at them and I said, I love my job because every day I get to be you. And they all kind of, you know, looked quizzically at me. And I said, every day I get to go in there and I get to completely abandon myself to the imagination of being whoever I'm at. I said, if you're on the playground and you're Spider-Man or Wonder Woman and someone comes up to talk to you, you're not Billy or Susie, you're Spider-Man,
Exactly.
you're Wonder Woman. You believe it, you live it. That's what I do every time I set foot in the booth. And you could see their eyes get really wide and go, we get it. And I said, every day I get to be just like you. And that's why I love my job.
But what is your motivation for being Spider?
Your check. Your check.
Yes, right.
You know what's funny?
Yeah, Yuri wasn't
Segue
available.
into
That's
the
what it
next
was.
section.
Right? There's these two great tools that I love and I share when I teach, and one of them is this thing about money called set it and forget it. And I've been doing this for a long time. I will set in my head what I want, like the number that I want for, you know, for the year, for the month, whatever. I usually do this like large blocks, like the year ahead, whatever. I set the general idea of the number and the general kind of stuff. I like once sat down and I wrote it on the back of a Trader Joe's bag with a Sharpie and burned the edges and hung it on my wall. And I moved and I didn't see that piece of paper for 5 years, and I found it and I had everything on the list. Because then I release how. How is none of my business. I just show up in the day and do what's in front of me with the least amount of internal crap that I can get to that day. Yeah. Right. So I set it and I forget it. And the money is separate, and I leave that to agents to handle, and it all falls into place. It literally does, because I've turned it over to forces bigger than me. My subconscious mind, quantum physics, all that stuff is just like, take it and go. And then the other thing was, God, it was something that you said that made me think of this, Dave. It was, poodle snot. What was it? Damn it. Oh, well, anyway.
Banana pants.
I want to play that character.
If I can.
Poodle snot, yeah. What's that?
It's a Midsummer Night's Dream, I think.
Yeah, if I could piggyback just off what you said, because one of the things that has really impacted me as somebody who always wants to do everything possible, get it right.
No.
Strive for perfection, and that has ruined me.
Absolutely.
And but there's this one quote that really helped me unlock that, and I hope I don't botch it too much, but is, when you attach yourself too tightly to how your dreams unfold, you run the risk of strangling that very dream to death.
Yes.
Oof. Yeah.
And you just reminded me of what I forgot.
Great. Go.
Is that I look at it every time like the audition is the job. It's like death.
For sure.
It's death. Like if you were going to die next week, you would live your life in a very specific way, with a level of abandon and like, just enjoy it, you know? So that job, that audition is the only time you get to bring forth that character through the unique filter that is you and your life and your unique megaphone of your soul. Like, it's the only time. So just jump. Because if you go in to get the job, there's a piece of you outside you going, I don't know, and you're not 100% present for that writer, for that director, for that moment, for yourself. And you've wasted that now, that little piece of the now, you just wasted it with criticism and fear. So yeah, it's the death thing. Like, the audition is the job, and you know, it's your only chance. Have a good time.
Yeah, the thing I've been telling my students for years is very, very boiled down version of that same idea, which is, we all wanted to be here and do this. And so much of the industry tries and often accomplishes to force you to think about everything else that you don't love about being an actor. When you get in the booth and you have copy in front of you and a microphone that's on, that's the only time you actually get to do the thing you came out here and you wanted to do through your whole life. That right there, even if it's 5 minutes, why are you thinking about that other stuff?
Yeah.
Forget it all. Just do the thing that you wanted to do because it's so fun, because God knows we have enough crap to worry about otherwise.
Yeah,
That's true.
And so much of it's habits too, where we have to be honest that we live in a culture that habituates us to that we're not enough, because without it, the whole marketing machine and the consumption machine would grind to a halt. And the forgive me, overlords wouldn't make a crap ton of money, right?
Right.
And it's just a habit of retraining your thinking, like, I'm more than enough. I'm just going to play.
Exactly.
I am more right this minute, exactly as I am. More than enough. Let's play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On that note, why don't we play?
You
Play. See, the puppet master speaks.
Yes, I've been trying to speak this whole time, but it's been too wholesome, so I have to keep letting it.
Well, we can
Anyway.
fix that.
I was going to say.
Oh no.
Anyway, let's pull out the scripts and do some cold reading.
Pull out my script here.
I didn't look at it.
I didn't either. I have it open to.
Thank
just
you
the
for
title
honoring the
page, and
cold
that's it.
spirit of
Ice
this.
cold.
If
And
we
I
were
was
not
together,
favorite
I would be
except for my
handing
child.
these
Yeah,
to you.
I was tempted, but I just saw who I was playing, but I didn't go through the whole thing. I was like, okay, all right, shoot, let me.
Oh,
I'm
not
gonna be
looking for
I
surprised.
get to be Swiss. All right, great.
See who I am. Let me see who I
Anyway,
am.
we will be doing a cold reading of a Superman script
We do
from the
have
1940s this time around.
Oh yes.
And it's going to be a fun
yay.
time. We did the script last time I did a virtual read, and it went really well. So we're doing it again. We made a few tweaks to it, and we gender bent some roles a little differently than we did last time. So I'm going to announce it, and we're going to get rocking and rolling. But
Sweet.
for our narrator, we had a man do it the last time who's actually watching us right now. Shout out to Jameson Price.
What's up, Jameson?
Jameson was our last narrator for the script. This time, we're going to put a feminine touch on the narration.
Yes.
We're going to have Jennifer Hale be our narrator.
Thank you.
And to showcase some of that versatility you talked about earlier, I would like to hear every line with a different voice, Jen.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay, man. All right.
Show us
Done.
your stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we have an announcer who appears to announce commercials and stuff like that. That will be played by Dave Mitchell.
Yes.
And Dave will also be playing Freddie, who is a British midget.
Typecasting, clearly.
And we have our Superman, who will be played by Imari Williams.
Booyah!
Nice.
Nice. Give me that
Next,
Clarky.
we have Henri, who is our French guide, who will be played by Krizia Bajos, who will also be playing Robin at the end of the script. And yes, it is that Robin, for those wondering.
Nice.
Boy wondering.
Next, we have a Swiss villager with one line, as well as Archer, who is an American physicist, who will be played by Richard Tatum.
Nice.
And finally, we have Jimmy Olsen, who is Mr. Kent's little assistant, who will be played by Kimberly Woods.
Nice.
And there's a line involving a bunch of panicking Swiss villagers. That will be all of us. It's a Walla line, so we can show people how Walla is done, or at least how it's done over Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little tricky.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I have to interrupt for a second. Is it just me, or does Jeff's voice remind anyone else of a young Carl Castle?
Ooh, I could see that.
That's a new
There's
one.
something
Uh-huh.
in your
Yeah.
delivery that is going just very young. Something about it.
Mhm.
I can't
Ooh.
figure it out.
It is clear.
Carl.
It is clear. It is very direct and clear. You know what I'm saying? It's very precise.
I think it's
Which
the
it just
musicality
was.
of it too. Anyway, sorry to
Definitely.
distract.
That's
Definitely.
fine. I mean, I'm almost done with my spiel, but as most of you guys know, since Krizia and Kimberly haven't done this panel yet, you guys can just go nuts with this script. Have fun with it.
My favorite word.
I trust you all completely. That's why you're all working.
All right.
And we're going to get started.
I'm gonna cover your
Jen,
faces
I
with the
believe you have the
script.
first line. And if you're not doing anything, do sound effects.
Okay.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
It's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton who came to Earth with amazing physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for that guy, oh my God, for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Yeah, that'd be nice right now. Today, while Superman pits his strength against the might of the sun at the top of a towering snow-covered mountain in the Alps, Robert Archer and a group of terrified villagers stand far below and witness a hair-raising sight.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's grumbling. What is it?
It come from the mountain. Take cover! The creep blue. Look, there's Superman. Good heavens, he's falling. He looks dead.
Dun!
Dave.
Oh, that's me. Sorry. Here they are, gang, the first batch of winners in the Superman Hidden Word Contest. Your name may be among these, so listen carefully. Proceeds to read the names and hometowns of a seemingly endless list of 100 contest winners from all over the United States for about a minute and a half. That's all for now, gang. More later in the program, so keep listening.
Damn, that was good. Dun dun dun. Dun, 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 dun.
The Adventures of Superman. Just before he died, a famous nuclear physicist named Sir Hubert K. confided this secret. of a mighty sun weapon to his romantic companion Freddy, telling him that the devastating weapon was time to shatter the world on the stroke of February 1st. Mama! Sir Hubert instructed the tiny man to find Robert Archer, a further assistant who'll be able to avert the catastrophe. Mama! Oh, no, I have to keep going.
Oh yeah, you gotta do it all in
You
that
got a
voice.
With the aid of Superman, Freddy was on the verge of contacting Archer when he was captured by the boat and the national conspirator who forced the healer secret from him, then flew by plane. I was on a plane one time to a distant mountain cave near the Swiss border where the mighty sun weapon had been set up. I'm so scared of this. I'm sorry. But at this moment of triumph, the bull was killed by a mountain guide whom he had tried to destroy. With only moments remaining before the unleashed atomic power, the sun would shatter the world. Superman streaked to the mountain cave and pitted his own titanic strength against the sun. Suddenly, there was a gigantic explosion, and the top of the great mountain was cast up toward the heavens in a vast shower of debris that carried the Man of Steel with it. Superman!
For a radius of 100 miles, the scare was irradiated, as in a tremendous bit of pyrotechnic display. And then the light faded, and in the quiet alpine valley, invisible under hundreds of tons of rock and stone and soiled snow, lay the sprawled, unmoving figure of Superman.
Dun, 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 dun.
Early the next morning, from the tiny village below the decapitated mountain, Robert Archer and Henry, the wounded guide, walked slowly into the valley, certain that Superman was destroyed in the explosion. Henry carries a wreath of mountain flowers. When he and Archer reach the vast mound of soil and rock and uprooted trees, the guide places his wreath gently at the foot of the mound.
Dun, 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 dun.
Say one more time, rest in peace, Superman.
He gave his life that we and the rest of mankind could live, Henri.
Oui, Monsieur Rocher. He was a great and good man.
Yes. And now he's gone. I can hardly believe it.
It does not seem possible.
Wait,
What is it, Monsieur?
look. Henri, the mound of debris, it's moving.
Oh, sacre nom! What can this be?
Good, great heavens, look, there's a hand coming out of the mound, and great Scott! Henri, it's Superman!
No, this cannot be!
He's alive! Superman's alive!
Oh!
Sorry if I startled you, gentlemen.
This is the happiest moment of my life, Superman. I thought you were done for.
Well, so did I, as a matter of fact.
Oh, no, I do not dream. You really are Superman?
In the person, also the Kryptonian flesh, Henri. Except for my costume, which looks as if it had gone through a cement mixer. I've never felt better.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Well, for this I give thanks to le bon monsieur.
So do I, Henri. I'm glad to see you're all right, too. I gather the bullet broke your arm, eh?
No, well, it was worth the pain now that the evil is no more. And for him, I do not grieve.
Yes, nor do I. He had it coming to him.
Yes, he certainly did. And now let's forget the boot. We've got to get back to America, Mr. Archer. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. There's nothing left of Sir Herbert's cave or his sun weapon. Did you see enough of it to be able to reconstruct it?
No. Sue Bear's great secret is gone forever.
That, I think, is for the best.
Yes, Henri, it's probably just as well. Sir Hubert created in belief he could frighten the nations of the world into keeping the peace, but it can't be done that way. It cannot.
The boot showed us that when he almost obtained possession of the weapon.
Yes, true peace can only come when all men, and ladies, I might add, wanted enough to bury their greed and hate and self-seeking, and meet their fellow men in friendship with an understanding.
Yes, please.
It's a bit overspoken, but that's correct, Superman.
Amen, hot damn it.
Amen.
That I say amen.
And now we've got to get moving, Mr. Archer.
I'm ready, Superman.
Ha 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 ha! Goodbye, Henri, and good luck.
Au revoir, monsieur, and may les ondes bless you.
Up with you, Mr. Archer.
I don't know what that means, but goodbye, Henri!
Au revoir, monsieur Archer. Au revoir.
Up, up, and away!
Oh, such a beautiful man.
Leaping up from the little valley with Robert Archer in his arms, Superman pauses in curious flight for a brief moment to wave to the smiling guide and to look once more at the oddly decapitated mountain, the scene of one of his most hazardous and exciting experiences. And then he summons his great strength and rockets away to the west, over plains and cities and rivers, and out over the vast Atlantic on his way back to Metropolis.
All aboard, running on empty. All aboard, running low.
The following day, once more in his guise and garb of Clark Kent.
Clack, 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 clack.
Mild-mannered and bespectacled reporter, he is in his office in the Daily Planet, writing a follow-up on a great story when the door opens. And Cub reporter Jimmy Olsen enters with Freddie. The tiny man, although still a bit wan, is beaming and resplendently attired in a new frock coat of emerald green, striped trousers, pardon me, pressed to a razor's edge, and gleaming patent leather shoes. Somebody get me my sunglasses. And hung from his arm is a tiny rolled umbrella.
Hiya, Mr. Kent.
Hello, Jim.
Look who's here.
Oh, Freddie! When did they let you out of the hospital?
Oh, just now. Oh, I say, Mr. Kent, it was jolly decent of you to send me this new outfit, eh?
Think nothing of it, Freddie. Does it fit all right?
Oh, perfectly. The other garments were completely ruined in the boot's beastly chimney, you know.
Boy, doesn't he look sharp, though?
He certainly does. Come on, Freddie. Let me put you up on my desk.
Watch your hands.
We can get a good look at you there.
Very well, old man. Yeah, I suppose. Thanks.
Yes, there you are. So nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure looks keen.
So, just kind of wondering, you know, it's something that's concerned me of late. Do you think the American audiences will, do you think they'll take to me? They'll like me? Huh?
American audiences? Why you ask?
Well, you see, he's going back into the circus business.
Oh yes, I've just signed up to appear with the. Oh, sorry, my bad. Oh, my God.
You know, it's funny. I was just going to say the same thing. Actually,
on it, Freddie.
I was thinking that. Oh yes, I've just signed up to appear at the Great Bartram and Billings Circus. You know.
You have?
I have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yes, indeed. And I'm to be one of their stellar attractions. I am.
Wow, is that so?
Oh, most certainly. Do I look like a man who'd lie to you?
Oh, you look keen enough.
Why, do you know, I've been positively snowed under with offers since yesterday, Mr. Kent.
I mean, when your story crediting me with saving the whole blooming world appeared in the Daily Planet.
Well, that's pretty swell. Hey, Jim.
Oh, man, it sure is. But I'll miss you, Freddy. I'll miss you so much. I was, kind of hoping you'd stick around here.
Oh, well, I'll miss you too, old chap, frightfully, but, well, you know, it is, show must go on and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. I know.
But, the circus plays Metropolis every year, so, I'll be seeing both of you chaps then. No problem.
Yeah. That's right.
well, we'll be here in the box seats, Freddy. Oh, excuse me, a minute. Clark Kent speaking.
And Mr. Kent, this is Robin.
Robin?
Yep, that's right. Batman.
Oh, yes, Robin. What can I do for you?
Okay, listen, can you come out to our house right away?
Well, yes. But what's wrong, Robin? You sound rather upset.
Oh, I am, Mr. Kent. Something terrible has happened.
Great Scott! What on earth?
I can't talk about it on the phone. Can you just come out here, please? Right now!
Why, yes, of course.
Hurry, please, Mr. Kent. Hurry!
I'll be there at once, Robin. Just sit tight.
Okay.
I'm just glad you're not a telemarketer that was calling right now, because I would have hung right up on your ass.
Dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Disturbed by Robin's urgent message. Clark Kent replacing the phone and ignoring Jimmy Olsen's questions hurries in from his office. A moment later, he is en route to the home of the famous Batman and Robin and Superman. We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. So keep listening.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
Okay, gang, here are more of today's winners. Proceeds to read the names and hometowns of the seemingly endless list of 100 contest winners from all over the United States for a minute and a half. And that's all we have time for today, gang. But there'll be many more tomorrow, and you may be among them. So be sure to listen.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. Summoned by Robin, the young companion of the famous Batman, Superman streaks to the handsome mansion, which is occupied by the dynamic duo as Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne. And now, as we rejoin Superman, he's once more in his guise of Clark Kent and is questioning young Dick Grayson in the lounge.
Dun, 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 dun.
What's wrong, Dick? I mean, Richard. I mean, Dick. Why are you so upset?
It's Batman, Mr. Kent.
What about Batman?
Oh, I can't even bring myself to say it. He's gone.
What? Gone? What do you mean?
No, just what I said. He's gone, I tell you. I'm afraid we'll never see him again.
Dun.
Clark Kent stares at young Dick Grayson, who chokes back the tears as he repeats.
We'll never see poor Batman again.
Dun, 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 dun.
Roxanne!
What does Robin mean? What's happened to the great Batman? Fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode when we begin a brand new and action-packaged mystery adventure of Superman with Batman and Robin. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for Chapter 1 of the new adventure of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time.
Dun, 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 dun.
This program came from New York. Stay tuned to your mutual station for Captain Midnight, which follows in just a moment. And right after Captain Midnight, you will hear Tom Mix and his Ralston Straight Shooters. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Can someone give me a lift back to Metropolis, please? Anyone? Anyone?
And that's a wrap. That was a great read, guys. That was so much fun.
That was super
That
fun.
was awesome. Wow.
And that's an actual 1940 script, too.
Oh,
Are you serious? Oh, it's
I believe
awesome.
it.
Fun.
it's really
Yeah.
good.
Good
Yeah.
Found it
find.
on the internet, tweaked a couple of roles here and there, and that's why you performed it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
And we're coming out to the end game of this panel, but I want
No!
It's kind of perfect.
Well, it's going longer than I expected because we've been
No!
having so much fun and getting on
God!
so many great tangents.
Oh. I
We
want,
even got Jameson's approval because he just did the script last time.
yeah. I want to hug all of you
Anyway.
guys right now in my house. I want to hug all of you. I
Right?
miss,
Oh, I miss hugging
miss-
people.
I
I
miss it.
know.
Yeah,
Oh,
seriously.
Yeah.
You're still in Canada, right, Jen?
Yeah.
Are you in Canada, Jen?
I came up for a visit because I knew that my kid was initially out of school for 2 weeks till this blew over, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So I came up for a visit, and then that was on Monday. That was my intention, and Wednesday they closed the border. So I was like, okay, we're gonna
Oh,
do
damn.
two cities for a while, but it's one city
Oh.
right now, and I'm fortunate
Oof.
enough to be on an island with no cases of COVID.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome. But what a
That's
great,
great.
what
no
a great,
active
like,
cases. Yeah,
what a great area to be in though right now. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
super grateful. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about home recording because everyone's having to do it right now,
Oh yeah.
more
Mhm.
than just auditioning. So tell us about what that's been like for you guys.
I moved into a place with no booth after having a booth in every place I ever lived because I didn't
Oh,
expect to be
man.
moving. And I ripped out, I'll show you guys, I ripped out a wall between two bedrooms, and now I have, that's the room outside.
oh, that looks great.
Wow.
I just,
Yeah, it's
like,
coming along just
this is my first day in here. I'm not even done. This is like a fabulous thing my carpenter put together for me. It's just like,
Nice.
and I stuck this up here because it's too bright sounding, and I got the towel here because it's too bright sounding, but I'll be tuning it at 3:00 with an engineer. But yeah, this is my, and I got one light, I got 3 more coming. But yeah, it's been interesting to deal with hardline internet connection, you know, all the lawnmowers across the street,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
laminated windows. If I can suggest that to everybody, laminated double pane windows.
Ooh,
Amazing.
okay. All right. Cool. Is that what does it? Really? Because I mean the
It helps.
freaking lawnmower is like my mortal enemy. And that,
Oh.
and
The
For
leaf
real.
blower.
Leaf
Yeah, for
blower.
me.
Leaf blower.
Oh,
Yeah.
leaf blowers.
Yeah,
You know
this
what I'm
thing has cut out. I did I also double layer of drywall with green glue in between.
Ooh,
There's this stuff called
okay.
green glue and it never hardens. It's amazing. You can get it at Home Depot, and which I found to be cheaper than the distributor, but check your pricing. And you
Nice.
basically just put it on the drywall, 2 tubes per 4x8 sheet, pop it up, and it really does dampen sound significantly.
Oh, I
This
love
place is
it.
double layer drywall everywhere and double walls inside the booth itself. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
I've,
it.
I've had this, you know, fortunately, I've had this set up for years.
Yeah.
So, because I've done a lot of actual recording from home, you know, probably nearly 100% of auditions from home for a long time.
Yeah.
And most of I think probably the last 4 or 5 shows I narrated, all done from here. Most promo you do from home, it seems. Some commercial. This has definitely been different. I haven't had to really change much. I did some upgrades in the studio, just things that I'd been planning on doing anyway, tech-wise, and taking advantage of the time. I've completely upgraded my music studio as well, and I've gone back to writing and working on music every day again, which
Nice.
is really lovely. So,
Yes, Dave.
so that's really been great. But you know, for the most part, you know, I definitely feel like I've had it easier than a lot of people, just because with the music background, with a production background, and actually having everything kind of already in place, I think it was the learning curve. There wasn't much of one, really. Just getting used to things like, you know, using Source Connect and a few things that I hadn't really done before, because everything else was pretty much recorded locally, which even a lot of the
Right.
stuff we're doing now is still recording locally and then uploading after the fact,
Exactly.
and connecting over Skype or Zoom or whatever, so we can actually interact with people. But for me, it hasn't been that much different. So I feel very fortunate in that, you know, I was able to kind of hit the ground running, because I know a lot of people have really had to 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 up their game. And I know people, I know everybody has. I know everybody's really done everything in their power to make sure that they can keep working. And certainly huge thank you. Again, I may have already said this, I don't remember, so sorry if I did, but to all the people on the other side of the glass, the writers, the producers, the engineers, the studio people, everybody at Halp, the fact that you guys have gone so far out of your way to make sure that all of us, yourselves included, but to make sure that all of us have had a chance to keep working when really we're the only ones in the industry right now that have been able to keep working consistently. So gigantic thank you to all of you that have that have put in, above and beyond just to make sure that we can all keep doing this. So
yes, amen, man, amen. I was just like you. Well, actually, I learned a lot from Dave because before I even started getting a promo, we have a mutual friend, Ryan, who would tell me about all your equipment and what you would do to stack and how you would handle things professionally. And so when I booked Empire was my first like promo gig that I'd gotten.
Yeah, it was.
And I was like, well, and that was another one where I was like, holy crap, that what I just read, like when we're talking about auditions, that was one of the auditions where I was like, well, let me just try this. And I wasn't expecting anything. I did the audition in the middle of my room with a blanket over my head. I had like a little TLM 102 with like a little, my first little mic that I'd saved up to get. I had my computer on the other side, and I'd run back and I'd tweak the gain and I would do it again, you know what I'm saying? And I'd have to and I got it. And that basically like changed everything. And now I've steadily increased bit by bit what I need to use. When time this pandemic hit, I'm so thankful to the universe because it allowed me the chance to get all the equipment I needed. I already had ISDN because I was already talking to the studio because I couldn't go into the studio from Fox. I was going to Fox all the time. I couldn't make it. When you do promo, for those out there, when they want something, they need it like need it like fast. They need it yesterday because a lot of times they're changing copy, they're changing scripts, and the producers need to get something over to the big wigs. So they need you to be around. That's why you hear the term golden handcuffs, because they want you to be around when you are doing anything that comes, particularly with trailers too. If you're doing trailers, you have to really be available or you will lose the gig. It's amazing how fast it goes for trailers. But so I was able to kind of get all the equipment I needed. And then ironically, or fortunately, I was able to update to an Avalon for my preamp because I was going off of like a little mix. So bit by bit, I've steadily stacked what I needed. And by the time I had everything, like I have a phone patch system. So if people need to hear how I sound, I can patch people in. So I've had everything here. So I'm extremely fortunate. And that is not the case for everyone in our field, because a lot of our people in our field are working with bare bones. They're working, they're working until they get that gig. They're working until they get that chance. So I count myself extremely blessed to have been prepared for this pandemic. And I also think like I also love sound too. Like Dave, I used to do hip hop and I also want to be an MC. So I loved how sound worked and I love that whole thing. So I think that carried on into like what I have in my booth as well, too. Anyway.
Amazing. What do you use for foam patch, Imari?
I use this system. I have my friend Brady hooked everything up for me. His name's Brady Walker, and I use it's a inline patch JK Audio. Hold on, let me see if I could show you.
I just got rid of my Gentner because I never used it.
It looks like, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Hold on, I'm gonna turn off this light here because I was trying to light myself in the right light.
You have to, hey, and that's another question for the group. Has anybody found good lighting solutions? Because all my lighting's behind me and I need like something in front,
I have an all-in-one PC in my booth. So it's an actual monitor and I just put my scripts on that. That way I actually do have a recessed overhead lighting, but I'll turn it on occasionally, dimly if I'm doing Zoom in there or something, just so they can see me a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
I have a ring light
because I don't have to light anything and it's just right there on the screen. So
I have a little portable thing that fits on my laptop right here, and then the light up above that kind of shines kind of nasty. So that's why I had to turn it off.
Yeah, I have this, special effect for my one. I've got 3 more track lights on order. But yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one interesting thing that I have done for Phone Patch, as far as them just being able to call in, not to record, but to call in and listen before we were doing Zoom and all this, is I've had a virtual number through Skype for several years.
Oh, nice.
$60 a year. It gives you a phone number. You pick whatever you want your prefix to be. So I have an 818 number for that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And people can call in from any phone, any cell phone, landline. You don't need a computer. You don't have to be on Skype.
Dude, that's a
They call in
great
from a
idea.
phone, and
Yeah,
then
I
what's
can
feeding
top
into
that.
that is my mic in the booth. And so what
That
they're
is
hearing on the other
great.
end is full fidelity audio.
How
That
do
is
you
awesome.
connect
You
that
can
phone to your, your good mic? How do
All
you?
you do is when you go into Skype,
Change
and
the
you
input.
select your,
Yeah.
you just select your
Oh.
audio input
Yeah.
in Skype, and you say, select
Okay.
whatever your input is. And
That
boom,
way you don't have to worry about a line, because I have a line that attaches, it splits. I have a
Super simple.
splitter that attaches my phone into this. So they call my house phone and I just transfer the house phone in here. But that is a freaking fantastic idea. I might even like
$60 a year. It goes straight through. They don't need anything on their end but a regular phone.
that is
So if
great.
they're all sitting on a conference call around a phone, they don't have to be on the computer. They have to be on Skype. They don't
Hmm.
need broadband. They can call from their cell phone in the car.
Wow.
But what they're going to hear is your audio feed into Skype when they call you is
Nice.
coming from your booth. You just
That's
select that in Skype.
No doing
say-
that.
And
you
it's,
can also do the exact same thing using Google Voice for free.
I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
about to go with that next.
Although they didn't, are they still giving out, Richard, are they still giving out Google Voice numbers? I thought they'd reached a point where they're like, we don't have any more to give out now, or.
Well, that I can't answer. I do know that I had one for a long time and then I lost it, and then I got a new one. So, shrug. And of course, I don't really use that much at all now because there's so many other ways to connect with us.
Sure.
I've just, they've had me on Skype 100 times with visual. Blue Jeans was another service. And
Simple.
obviously, everybody's using Source Connect right now. So yeah.
Oh my God. I had Source Connect Pro and I I basically like I was so pissed off at Source Connect because I was always doing ISDN. So like I had it so when I would go on the go, I would have like a little go kit and I would rent it first. But then I was like, oh, maybe I can make my own little go kit. So I got my Source Connect thing. I could never be able to make it work. I paid $600 for it to get this like temporary license. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Well,
It was like,
George the Tech. George
Whittam. George is the man. He absolutely.
George Whittam.
I've heard he's great.
He can
Yeah.
fix all that for you. And he designed this whole booth. Like I actually bring him onto my sessions for the first 10 minutes. If for the first 2 or 3 times I work with a client,
video.
I like to have George in there because.
So my wife.
Oh, you
Sorry,
went.
you're muted.
My wife almost came in the closet to get dressed. I was like, no, video, baby, video. Video. She's like standing like she's like,
Oh no.
Anyway, just
I'm gonna
before I
I'm
forget,
gonna go dark. Hold on, I'm gonna go dark.
okay. There is one other. There's another thing that I have used a couple of times recently that I think we talked about before we actually went live with this. But there's another thing called Connection Open, which I used. It basically I think it was originally designed really to allow musicians to collaborate remotely with studios and record remotely. So it gives you uncompressed lossless audio on the studio side. But then for us, I actually had it where they were feeding me video, streaming me video with beeps, and I was doing ADR to picture from home, and they were recording it on the other end. And they have a thing where you can sign up for that, and you get like a few free day trials when you do it. And so far, I've kind of been pimping that to people just because my experience with it was so good. It's what WB decided they were going to do for trying to do the remote animation recordings, was to use that. And I was pretty blown away by it, and it offers a lot of really great features too. And it will work it'll work as a plugin on Mac. It'll work on PC. It's really great. So it's just another thing to check out. And the fact that I was able to do ADR from home, beeps, lip sync, everything, I was floored at how great it went.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Well,
I do have to jump off in about 5 minutes.
I have a
for
3 o'clock.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. So,
right.
but I just want to say, just like Kimberly, we were talking about it before. Dean Panero, my agent, some of our agents here, he put the fear of God in me. Right when the pandemic started, to our knowledge, and he, I had a couple of clients like promo and some really great gigs that had just started, and I was like, I can't lose this. So I called Studio Bricks, and I tried to get a Studio Bricks set up in my place as soon as possible, and that has been a godsend. and, you know, gotten my little learning from all my engineer friends, from my actor friends. Yuri has a Studio Bricks spot. And so I got a lot of help from him, from Armin Taylor. So everybody kind of just helped me figure out what's going on. But yeah, I had to do the whole kit and caboodle. I was so spoiled of not having to have something here, thinking I didn't have the space, but we had to make the space. And it's been Studio Bricks, the TLM, I didn't even know what an interface. I was like, I don't know any of this, but engineers have been amazing. Yeah, but you know, yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Were you sore the next day too, after putting it together?
I'll be super frank with you. I was like, it's just me and my husband. I could call my guy friends, but at the beginning, everything was so scary that I was like, you know what? I don't want to get a divorce during the pandemic. And I know us, when we're trying to build something together, it might not go well. It might not go well.
Oh my God.
Movers and assembly. I was like, you know what? I'll just have it. We stayed away from them. I cleansed everything after, but I had professionals do it, girl. More power to you, but I could not. I was like, I want to stay in this marriage.
She's a neuroscientist.
I followed Kimberly's journey when she was putting her booth together.
Gosh.
She had like a 3-stage journey, and like she had her husband sweating that out. I was like, dude, that's what a husband. I was like,
go you
that
guys.
that door's like 120 pounds.
Yeah, my booth was the first thing in my house.
Same here in this house. Like we are living in, oh my God. But this booth is pristine.
Yeah, that door you showed me was like, they looked fabulous. I'm like,
what I did was I ordered 2 patio doors from a like a door and window place.
Oh, it's awesome.
But they're back to back, and I'll just see if I can stop dropping my computer because my shelf is not destroyed. So there's
That's awesome.
That's great. Oh, I like
Brilliant.
It's a real studio.
they're laminated glass. That's the trick. They're expensive. I mean, it's not soundproof, but it's as close as you can get.
If everyone's ever been to Margarita Mix, they have their doors are like that. The Margarita.
That's what I have.
Atlas Oceanic too, I think.
Yeah. I love that. I was like, I mean, I lift like 100 pounds in order to open it up, but you're like, man, you seals it in, and the sound is just so nice.
Silicone spray or whatever you do on the bottom, and because I want to do music, music was my first love, and I'm finally getting back to it. And this way, there's communication from space to space. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'm renting here, and I've been here for years, and I have a huge place, and I love it. But so I was trying to make sure I did things that were.
You could take down when you were moving.
Yeah, exactly. So what I don't know if you can really see it, but back there, what I did is I actually designed and had a friend build it for me. It's a 3-wall gobo with hinges.
Nice.
So then I put it in the corner, and then all of the walls are all acoustically treated around here so I can mix in here as well. But if you go in the booth, it's all acoustically treated, so it's set up basically like a diamond shape. So it's deep and wide. So I have room to be physical inside the booth. It also cuts down on some of the parallel reflective surfaces and all that sort of stuff. But it gives me room to have some physicality. And it's, it was a kind of a stopgap way to do it, because I'm still subject to lawnmowers and leaf blowers and all that. But as far as the sound of the room, every audio test I've done with the engineers, like, oh, we're going to see if you can record from home. Log in and they're like, oh man, your setup sounds great. So I'm like, all right, that's all I care about. And it was, it's a slightly more economical way to go about it if somebody's looking to do something like that. So, and use of the space with your renting. So
I have to sign off. I have a 3:00. Thank you all.
Krizia, go kill
This is
it.
a good part to wrap
Kill it, my lady. It was such a pleasure to meet you and spend time with you, man.
Great to meet all of you. Thank you so much.
We have to do a panel lunch when we can.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
No problem, Krizia.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you guys for doing
Krizia.
this.
Have fun.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys.
Nice meeting
Thank you guys for joining us, and remember to thank Jennifer Hale, Krizia Bajos, Kimberly Woods, Imari Williams, Dave Mitchell, and Richard Tatum. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank
Love
you guys.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Jeff.
Be safe.
Yes, everyone be safe,
safe.
please. Bye, D. Dave, I texted you something, Dave. Look at my text.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
All right.
All right.
Bye.